Have you ever had one of those days where nothing goes right? Seems like this is one of those days. So I just went to hook up the trailer. I've got to go get some feed tomorrow. And I found, I don't think this video is going to show it, but this sidewall is getting ready to burst. It's actually out about a half an inch from the rest of the sidewall. So I've got to pull this tire off. I've got to run into town. And those of you that know me know that I don't like leaving the farm at all. But I'm going to run into town. There's tire shop in there. Those guys are actually pretty cool. I'm going to see if they've got a used tire, get this joker switched out. Because tomorrow I'm going to be doing a feed run. And if you're watching this video, you're going to see that here in just a couple minutes. But before I can put a ton of feed on the trailer, we've got to have good serviceable tires. And this is also a reminder to you, be sure to check your tires. Because just by a quick glance, it doesn't look like that it's bad at all. It wasn't until I started rolling and using the rear view mirrors that it looked like the whole tire was wobbling in and out. And that's when I stopped and I saw this bulge in the sidewall. So especially with tires, you better check your tires. This time of year, you don't want to be broke down on the road because tire blew out. All right, well, let me go ahead and get this thing off. We're going to get it loaded up in the truck. We'll run into town. I'm going to move the camera around. You can see that obvious bulge from the top. So watch right here. Can you see that? The whole threads, the whole inner core has shifted. This tire was at catastrophic failure. Well, I thought that our story was going to be able to start here. Would you believe that I went to 3 different places yesterday looking for a tire? No place has used 15-inch tires. I can't believe it. Actually, I can. They explained why, but that's neither here nor there. Well, needless to say, I'm out of goat feed and I've still got to go. So we don't have a trailer. Wait a minute, I got an idea. Excuse me, just a second. Maybe he's got one I can borrow. Hey Wayne, how you doing? Stoney Creek. Oh, pretty good. Well, I'm in a dilemma. Yeah, I know, I'm always calling you when I'm in a dilemma, aren't I? Well, I've got a tire on my trailer that's pretty sick right now and I can't find a replacement. I've got to run down to Keota this morning and pick up a ton of feed. Can I borrow one of your trailers? Outstanding. All right, well, I'll get loaded up and we'll head that way. Thank you much. See you in a few minutes. Bye. Well, we just got saved. My friend Wayne Sims lives 5 miles as the crow flies, maybe 6, and he's going to let me borrow one of his trailers. So let's hop on in. We're going to head over to Wayne's and we're going to pick up a trailer. I'm going to tell you about Mr. Sims. Not only is he a friend of mine, but he's also a mentor to me in the goat community. He and his wife own S&S Kikos, and I'll tell you what, you want a family-orientated group, you need to get in the Kiko organization. I've not found anyone who raises Kikos yet that I just don't like. Pretty much the Kiko family, they're going to take care of each other just like today. Well, Wayne, thanks a lot. I sure appreciate it, and I'll bring it back tonight. Well, guys, here's where we can finally start our story. I drive down to the Livestock Nutrition Center in Keota, Oklahoma. It's about a 2-hour drive from here. I pick up a couple of 1,000-pound super sacks, or basically a ton of feed. Sometimes they throw in a little bit more, but I pick it up straight at the mill. Now, one of the questions I always get asked, why in the world would you drive 2 hours to pick up a ton of feed? Well, I'll tell you, it's pretty significant savings. I was buying goat feed here local, only about 6 miles away, and their prices have gone up significantly. Just with gross savings, I save a little over $170 by picking this up. When you add in fuel cost, it cost me roughly $20 to go down there and back. So basically I'm saving $150 for the same amount of feed that I could buy 6 miles local. Now it's pretty sad because I'll tell you, I'm one of those people that I shop local whenever I can, but $150 is pretty significant. In fact, it's significant enough that after 2 trips, it's almost my 3rd trip free if you count the same amount of feed that I would buy local. Well, here we are, the Livestock Nutrition Center in Keota, Oklahoma. That's Jake on the forklift today. He's going to be loading us up. Super good guy. Always has a smile every time I come down. Now Jake was wondering why I had the camera set up, and I told him it was for the YouTube channel. And he said that he's going to tell his wife about that and hopefully some of his co-workers. So Mrs. Jake, if you're watching, here's a big shout out to you. Your husband's a good man. I'm just going to get this thing strapped down before we get on the road. We're going to make that long journey home, and then we have to unload this by hand. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed that little trip through southeast Oklahoma. Holy cow, we made it. I'm glad I only have to do this about once a month, but now the real fun begins. What I've got to do is unload both of these sacks, and I thought I'd sit next to them just so to give you an idea of the size. Like I was saying earlier, each one of these is 1,000 pounds, called a 1,000-pound super sack. And these have got a little bit more than 1,000 pounds in here. They're closer to 1,100 pounds each. So now if we had the right equipment or different equipment, there's loops on here that if my tractor was large enough, it could lift that joker up, put it over a feed bin, and then it's got a trap door on the bottom. I pull a ripcord and it all dumps out. And that would be all fun and well, wouldn't it? Well, unfortunately, the tractor I have is only rated to lift about 700 pounds, and it wouldn't get it high enough anyway to do what I needed to do. So you know what that means? I've got to unload both of these jokers by hand. Now what I do, I put them in 5-gallon buckets, and then I take them over there to the tack room. You can see the top of the door right there. And that's also another reason why I don't use the tractor. When I'd first posted about doing this on Facebook, I had several people, well, just use your tractor and move them into your building. Well, I don't have a building with a door big enough to get the tractor in anyway. They get stored in 55-gallon barrels there in the tack room. It takes 7 55-gallon barrels to store 1 ton of feed. So you know what's next on my want list? Of course, a feed buggy. But with anything, they cost money. I can only hope that Santa will be kind to me this year and bring one to me. But I'm looking forward to one at least by next year. One of the things I get asked about on Facebook when I talk about this particular type of feed, you know, what's the mix and that sort of thing. I'll show you a picture of one of the labels right here. Now this feed was developed by a man by the name of Dr. David Sparks, Dr. Dave Sparks. He was a veterinarian and he worked with Kansas University, as I understand it, and they formulated this feed. And then when he moved from Kansas down to Porham, Oklahoma, he got with the Livestock Nutrition Center to see if they could mix his blend. They could. And then after a while, from what I understand, LNC just bought that formula, so now they market it to the general public. Now one of the other questions that I get is, if I've got kikos, why am I feeding? Well, you guys have seen my pasture. Right now it's brown, and I'm not on a huge acreage. We're only on 11 acres out here, and not all of that's for goats. My doe pasture out here is a little over 5 acres, and I probably have that overpopulated as far as what the carrying capacity is. So we do have to supplement feed. And then right now they're in the middle of gestation. Of course, we're due to have kids in February. So we're also going to feed. Now, how much do I feed? I only feed roughly a pound a head per day. Now, of course, some of those does probably take more than their fair share. Some probably, of course, the lesser does aren't going to get as much. So I don't ration it out per doe per se. But I only put out enough where they can get it completely finished within 10, 15 minutes, 15 minutes tops. And then along with this feed, of course, they have access to those round bales of hay 24/7, and they're still turned out loose on the pasture. Right now they're eating fallen oak leaves and tons of acorns. They're getting huge autumn acorns, believe it or not. So that's the deal with feed. I know a lot of you, if you've read about kikos, they're supposed to be a non-input type of animal, and fundamentally they are. But you certainly can't starve a profit. I'm feeding them 24, 26 pounds for 23 head, so I think I'm pretty pretty right on the money on that. Well guys, we're finally done. Well, we finally got the trailer unloaded. I've got to get this bad boy back over to Wayne's house before dark here. I'll tell you what, I'm pooped. But as always, I appreciate you watching, appreciate you stopping by. Certainly appreciate your support. And until next time, I'll see you next video.